Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, everybody. Get my screen
Good morning.
right. Okay. Thank you all for coming to this first session, this first coffee morning of the new academic year 2022-23. I have with me Miss Barbara Exley, who you know and love, and Mr. Emmanuel Alexander, who you know.
Okay.
The purpose of this meeting really is just to give you an update on where we are and where we're heading to. I think it's important to start off the year looking at a number of our school priorities and where we're trying to move forward as a school. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start talking to you about the school priorities. And these are whole school priorities. They're not specific to a phase, but it's across the school, and it's something that as a leadership team that we've all agreed upon, and we know that this is going to be a focus point for the school. Once I go through those points, I'll then pass over to Miss Exley and Mr. Alexander, who'll take you through specific primary. And then at the end, I'll talk to you a little bit about a parent support group that we're looking to start to form over the next few weeks or so. Okay, and then we'll have some questions at the end. So, what are the school priorities? Well, what we chose this year as our major priority is challenge. It's very simple as a one-word theme, but it can be taken in so many different directions. Principally, we're looking at challenge in the classroom, individualized challenge for all children. And we know that setting challenging targets helps students progress further in their education, but we know as teachers that we have to produce those areas in our classroom which enable them to challenge themselves. Part of the thing that we're looking at very much is engendering in our students the wish to push themselves, the wish to challenge themselves, whether it be educationally or behaviourally, really sort of push themselves forward, because that's how we improve. We don't improve by standing still. We improve by challenging ourselves, taking ourselves out of our comfort zone. That's how we move forward. And that's what we want to put in the children. We also, within that, we want to teach things like resilience for them. Part of challenging yourself is also knowing how to deal with failure. Because if we constantly challenge ourselves and it's easy for us to attain, then that's not really a challenge. That's not the point of challenge. So we want to teach our students about resilience and to keep pushing themselves forward, regardless of the hurdles that come up for them. So it's really an important thing in terms of a school theme. Now, Miss Exley and Mr. Alexander over the coming weeks will start to talk about how that specifically looks in the classroom. But even on my recent tours around classrooms, you can see that teachers have already set up challenge areas for the students. I know we're looking at how we challenge within spelling, how we challenge within reading, but also every single subject, how we actually push them forward and how we give that opportunity that's always there for a child to challenge themselves. And as a PYP school, that is essential, and it is part and parcel of what we do as educators within the school. So, as I said, in the coming weeks, you'll see that. You'll see that in the classroom, you'll see that in the standard of work that's being produced. And it's not about children getting 100%. It's about children pushing themselves to their limits. And they'll be fully supported. As I said, resilience is an important part of that, and that's where our pastoral support will come in very, very strongly. One of the other key areas that we are looking at is sustainability. Now, we looked at sustainability last term, and there were some emails that were sent home to families about our sustainability models. In primary is actually very, very good at this because they consistently bring in water bottles. That's one of the first stages of being sustainable as a school. We have lots of water fountains. We do not want plastic bottles coming into the school. There is no reason for that. And it's great to see, amongst the lunchboxes that we have and amongst all of those things that we have, pretty much all of our children have their own water bottles and they're refillable, which is excellent. But we want to push forward in sustainability as well. So one of the things we're going to be looking at strongly is recycling, ensuring that children recycle effectively, and it's part of their daily routine. What we want to suggest to our children that this is the way of life. Recycling is something that we should be doing on a regular basis. So we're looking at bringing in some recycling bins as well, so we can start to collect recycling and give them to organisations like the Emirates Environmental Group and other groups that are similar, and also bringing in partners within that. You would have seen last term, one of the partners was Irago, that we sent information home, and various others who are actually looking at offering our families special deals in terms of the products that they do, which are more sustainable than the standard products that you find in supermarkets and around in the country. So this is going to be a really important thing. Those of you that know Mr. Little, he's teaching year 6 now. He's actually been appointed a sustainability officer, coordinator for the school. So he'll be putting things together in the coming weeks. Obviously, that's something that's a bit more of a long-term project. At the moment, our teachers are focusing on getting the children into school, settled in their new classrooms, happy to be back at school. Okay, so I'm going to pass over now to Miss Exley and Mr. Alexander, who are going to talk through the primary update and anything that you feel that is worthwhile or needed to present at this point. Obviously, things move forward at a pace at the school, and we'll have a lot more opportunities to hear from Miss Exley and Mr. Alexander. So I'll pass you over to them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ellis. Good morning, everybody. A very warm welcome to new parents and a warm welcome back to existing parents. If I can just ask all parents to mute, otherwise it causes an echo across. And then later, if you wish to ask questions, that's fine, and we'll do the same. My first thing is a thank you to all parents for morning routines. As you can imagine, or maybe you don't know, we are a large school and we have lots of students to get in. And from day 2, which was Wednesday, it has been a very, very smooth morning coming in. You will have seen we have lots of teachers waiting in the entrance. We don't leave the children on their own, and they're there to welcome them, as I am and Mr. Alexander every morning. And parents have now got into the routine of dropping them off, and they come through the doors and they go very smoothly to class. This morning, if any of you listening have got year 2, students, I saw doctors coming in. I did ask one if he was a doctor, and he corrected me and said, I'm a dentist. So I said, thank you very much for sharing that with me. They're dressed up as community workers, and they've come in to talk about how we can help each other within the community, which is exactly what we do in school as well. In term 3 of last year, we were able to change and reconfigure the layout of the classrooms to enable the students to talk to each other much more easily, to share their ideas, which is very much part of what the PYP curriculum is asking of our students. That when the teacher gives a piece of information, the students are able to discuss it and to then be able to feed back to the rest of the class. This has become even more prevalent this year. We've had 2 inspections so far this week, and we're still fitting in very much with the requirements of the KHDA and the DHA. But if you see the classrooms, and you will, either through Zoom or through Seesaw, I know year 1 and above parents aren't allowed to go up, but you will be able to see what your children are doing in the classroom. But what's new this year that we didn't have last year, there's a lot more movement in school. So the students, they are staying put for their homeroom lessons. They're also in their classrooms or an adjoining classroom, depending on the groups, for Arabic and Islamic. And for the rest of the specialist subjects, they do move. So to PE, to art, to music, higher up the school to French. So they are able to see the rest of the school. And if you saw me smiling whilst Mr. Ellis was speaking, that's because I was just watching an EY1 class walk very, very neatly to go to Arabic, which is just next door to my office. So assemblies are back and parents will be invited to assemblies. The assemblies are there to celebrate student success. We give out certificates every week. We have PYP certificates. We have Student of the Week certificates, and the specialists, music, Arabic, Islamic, also give out certificates. So if your child is receiving one of these, you will get an invitation to attend on a Friday morning to see your child receive the certificate. These assemblies are every other week per year group. New this year in those assemblies is we are bringing back class assemblies and subject assemblies. So our subject areas, most of our subject areas will be presenting an assembly. For example, Islamic studies, they will be doing theirs near the approach of Ramadan so that we can share with our students the expectations and what Ramadan is about. We're also bringing back year productions. This is where the whole year group comes together and performs either on stage or just off the stage, but it's very much a collective theatre production. And we're talking about 150 odd students. In addition to that, we have other outside agencies coming in to do performances for our students. The first one we're looking at is in term 2. We tried to get them in term 1, but as they're extremely popular, they couldn't actually fix a date with us until term 2. Mr. Hadji, those of you who know Mr. Hadji, who's our technology expert, will be looking at coding, in particular for students higher up the school. This is becoming a really important part of a student's learning and in fact in everybody's daily life. So he is working on that, first of all sharing the information with the teachers, and then they in turn will be able to share it with the students. Swimming is back. Again, for upper primary, we have a wonderful swimming pool, which in fact was checked yesterday by the municipality for us. And Mr. Price is organising swimming lessons for years 3 to 6. At the moment, it will be for year 6, but year 5, 4 and 3 will very, very quickly be involved in that as well. Swimming in the primary school is the only time we separate the boys and the girls as far as the lessons are concerned. So whilst the boys are in the swimming pool, the girls will be taught by a PE teacher and vice versa. We started, but very gently, into school competitions in term 3 last year. These will start again in term 1. And I know we're already looking at the swimming trials. So to get a swim squad ready, and also netball, that information is going out today to get a netball team ready so that we can start playing in amongst other schools as well and get that real competitive but healthy competitive element to school going as well. Back to the classrooms, we have been able to re-establish our reading areas, our reading corners. For those of you who've known me from previous years, you will know I am passionate about reading, absolutely, personally and with students as well. Right from when they come in at the age of 3 until they leave us to go to the high school at the age of 11. We award not only reading certificates for reading, but in order to reward the students, to encourage them even more, we do have vouchers. The vouchers, of course, are book vouchers because I want them to buy another book to start reading again. I'm now going to pass over to Mr. Alexander, who can update you with a few more things which we will be doing in the primary school.
Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's well. My name is Mr. Alexander, for those of you unaware. It's nice to greet all the new parents and returning parents too. I'd just like to go through the curriculum and just highlight that as a result of the changing to some of the COVID challenges that we've had, the focus this year will be on reintegrating the curriculum so our transdisciplinary learning is more connected. So what this means is, sorry, I'm just having a problem with my sound. One moment. Hello, sorry, I just had a small problem with the sound. What we're looking at doing is ensuring that there is a real connection between all the subjects. So as the children are learning specifics in English, they're also being able to develop their understanding of science and math and social studies within the learning as well, which helps them to develop those key skills. So that is one of the real focuses for this year, and you will see that through the students learning via Seesaw, which there is also going to be a greater emphasis on. So you will start to see a development of your children's skills over time through their work production. Homework is an important part of school because it helps the children to just consolidate the things that they're learning in school. And what we ask and what we expect is to develop those key focus areas. So as Ms. Exley mentioned, reading is extremely important for all children and important for us here. So we ask that children read every evening for between 20 and 30 minutes, a little bit less maybe for our younger students. And we have the online reading system Bug Club, which provides the children with a whole wealth of books, but also books that relate to certain subject matters and also are age related. This year, the children will have the opportunity to also take books home from the library, which was unfortunately not the case last year. So they also have the opportunity to choose books of things that they're interested in as well. So we just ask for your support in ensuring that they are reading every evening, and where possible, if they have the opportunity, to be read to as well. And they will have spellings on a weekly basis as well to support their reading. So they're two key areas. And in math, they will have an online math system to help them develop whatever it is that they're learning in maths in school, to continue that at home. And we also ask that children from year 4 and below, and when necessary in year 5 and year 6, there's a great emphasis on learning their times tables, and if they can have a daily practice of those using timetable rock stars, and that only needs to be for 5 or 10 minutes and is set up in a game-like fashion so that children are enjoying the experience as well as learning too. As Ms. Exley mentioned, the classrooms have been able to be reorganized so that there's a greater emphasis of cooperation within the classroom, so children are working together and communicating more strongly in regards to their learning. And this will be showcased at the end of every UOI, at the end of every half term, through the planned action and the culminating learning experiences. So what the year 2 parents have experienced today in terms of children coming in dressed up, at the end of the term, you'll then be able to see the end product of the learning through a project that the children will have the opportunity to display and show other children in school, as well as parents via Seesaw. And as the year goes on, it might be possible for parents to come into school as well to see that. We're very excited with the learning opportunities that children are going to have, and integrating computing and integrating the arts in particular within the core subjects, so that we are not only developing the children academically, but there is going to be a real focus on enjoyment and fun, and children enjoying coming to school and learning at school, especially as the last 2 years have been very, very difficult. So we look forward to having them all here and you guys being with us on the learning journey. And I'd like to just pass over now for any questions.
Yes, I'm going back in. If you turn yours down. Okay, so I'm going to answer some of the questions which have come through rather than write the answers. I think, in fact, it might be one or two of you seem to be coming up with this with the same. So as far as the after school activities are concerned, this is 4 years, well, right through the school, in fact. At the moment, we're asking the teachers which after school activity they would like to do, and they have a choice of offering them in term 1 or term 2. So those who said they're going to offer them in term 1, we're now going back to them and saying, what exactly would you like to offer, to whom, as in which year group, and on which day of the week. Now, the school does not offer any activities on Mondays and Fridays. Mondays, because we have staff meetings every Monday after school, and Fridays we finish at 12 o'clock. Once we have those choices, they will then go out to parents for parents to choose which after school activities they would like their children to go to. And for children in year 3 and above, there will be buses at 4 o'clock on those days for the children to take part in. We do offer also, and we're trying to get some more people to come into school and do this, we also offer mother tongue as an activity in school. So this is for students, this applies to most of our students for whom English is not their first language. We teach through English, that's the medium language of the school. We teach Arabic, and from year 4 and above, we also teach French. But many of our children, their first language is none of those. And so what we do is we encourage them through having lessons to be able to keep up with their own language as well. Another question that came in was, are the swimming lessons taught by the teachers of Emirates International School or by an outside agency? The lessons which are timetabled within the week from Monday to Friday are taught by our PE teachers. There is a company called Hamilton who offer swimming lessons, I believe, for every age group. And that's in our pool, but that's outside of school hours. And they do different hours according to different ages for the children. If the Hamilton, I believe it went out last week. If you haven't received the information for Hamilton, please let the class teacher know through email, and we will get that information to you. A parent asked, is there after school care? For early years 1 and early years 2 who finish at 1 o'clock, we do have an after school activities club, which parents have been emailed about. Is there after school care for year 1 and above? There is not after school care unless those children are in an after school activity, which of course means that they will then be with one of our members of staff. I believe that's all the questions I've answered so far. So I'm just going to hand back to Mr. Ellis, who has come back on screen.
Mr. Ellis, you're muted.
Too busy muting everyone else, and I muted myself. Sorry. In terms of the paid activities, let me just run through, because they were sent out this week to all the families. But let me just go through it. We do have a new football activity, which starts on the 12th of September, so a week on Monday, which is actually run by Mr. Cross, who's one of our high school PE teachers, and Mr. Connolly, who's one of our primary school teachers. And it works around year 1 to 6, their sessions start at 4 o'clock, and years 7 to 10 start at 5 o'clock. And a note on there that they will look after groups of students as they're waiting for that club if they don't have anything in between. And there's also a netball session, which is also happening every Tuesday. Again, times have been sent out, which Miss Ogan, our head of high school PE, is running. They'll be on Tuesday, and they range from 4 to 5 for years 3 and 4, and 5 and 6. High school ones are 5 till 6 and 6 till 7. Turning Point are back. They have their dance classes and ballet, which are on. So they actually start next week. Level 1 ballet, year 1 to 3. Butterfly ballerinas will be available in the afternoon on a Tuesday. And again, Tuesday evening, there's a year 4 to 6 hip hop. We have rhythmic gymnastics, which are back Mondays and Tuesdays. Again, we're having boys and girls early years have an activity between 12:45 and 1:45. There's a karate academy, which is on Mondays as well. And there is, I know someone had posted a question about it, there is a company called Premier Genie who are coming in, and they'll be working on Monday 3 till 4 on robotics, 3D printing, coding and machine learning. And actually on Wednesday, they're going to do a blended maths session on Wednesday. So they're all our private clubs that'll be coming on in the next week, and you have that sent to you straight away. I think it was Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday that was already sent to you. Just a couple other questions in there. Yes, our transition from year 6 to high school actually starts in and around November. There'll be some sessions for parents, and then throughout the year, what you'll see is there'll be times at which we combine year 6 and year 7, or year 6 come over and do some of the activities that are arranged for high school. And that will start through probably the second half of the academic year after the mid-year break. And then we will have lots and lots of other activities. We have big transition days, one in May for primary and one in June, which are our big sort of end of year transition days when everyone's really close. But there are lots of activities that are going through there. I'm actually rolling out the mother tongue, and it's a little bit more than a mother tongue program now for after school, because you will be able to have lessons in an additional language should you wish to, and I'll get that information out. In the meantime, I do ask if anybody's got, well, last year, sorry, I'll say it again. Last year we had on the program Russian, we had German, and we had Hindi available. This year we're trying to get hold of Chinese as well to go into the program. And if there's another language that you feel is necessary, or even you could offer, that would be fantastic. Just answering some more questions. Yes, you'll be dropped off after the after-school activities. There is a late bus for those children. Okay. And one I want to go back to, which I might also pass on to Mr. Alexander, there's a couple of questions about sending books home. The discussion that we have been having of late is really about increasing our use, which we already use a lot of Seesaw, but looking at portfolios of fantastic work that your children do and publicising a lot more of those on to Seesaw. Mr. Alexander, is that an accurate picture?
Yeah, so what you will be seeing is more of a journey of learning that the students have been participating in over a period of time. So if you would like to use that as evidence of where you need to further support your children at home, then that will be sufficient. We wouldn't be sending books home as requested, but the learning will be available on Seesaw, and any feedback that you would like from teachers in relation to what areas that your child needs to develop in further, the teachers are happy to engage in conversation with you about that and how parents can support their children further at home. Somebody also had a question in relation to developing math. We have the My Maths program, which parents can use and students can use. Teachers will direct students to the areas that are available to them in relation to what's happening in class. So the home learning will be linked with what's happening in class, but the program is open. So if there are other areas that parents wanted to work on with the students, then that is available too. The login and the information surrounding Bug Club, which is the reading program, and My Maths will be sent next week. And Seesaw information, if it hasn't been sent out already, it's due to come out today. So logins for that will be sent out today via newsletters and via email.
Good morning, Mr. Alexander. Can I just speak about the books? As you said that you will not be able to send it at home. Regarding the books, we actually want them because we want to see the progress. Secondly, all the teachers do not post whatever the kids are doing on Seesaw, because sometimes it's difficult to actually post each and everything on Seesaw. I mean, because maybe they have a lot of students and they have a lot of work to finish. We do get spelling test updated, but there are other things like, for example, how to use logic answers in maths and all. Every kid is not very intelligent. Some kids need help. And last time I had a lot of issues. The teacher was very supportive, but of course my son was not up to the mark. So I want him to give little extra help. So I just want to request that at least once a month, we should know what our kids are doing and how they are writing their stories, or if they have any issues, because they are very young. My son is in year 2 now. So year 1, year 2 kids, they can't tell you what they are doing in the class. And it's very difficult for them to explain what is happening in the class, because normally they say we forgot or we are doing this. It's not very up to the mark, and we can't be every time emailing the teacher and telling us what is happening in the class. So, I mean, it is just an humble request. At least once a month, if we can get all the books and see where they are standing, and if they need extra help, or, we need like special attention in some subjects, so we can, speak to the teacher regarding that matter. So I feel every parent should know what the kids are doing. I mean, just a humble request for it. And plus, even for the pre-test and post-test, I feel teachers should inform us 1 week ahead, because we also need little time to prepare them for the subjects. Everyone is not a superstar. Some kids, they need really little more help.
Sure.
So I would like the management to take care of it.
Sure. Ms. Exley will come in shortly on the books. Just on the pre-tests, the idea behind the testing process in terms of the pre and post tests is there isn't any preparation for the pre-test, because we want to see what the children can do, and then that gives us an indication of where we then need to focus the learning over the next weeks in order to get them to the stage or beyond that stage where we want them to be. So any preparation would not help the teachers in having a clear understanding of what the students need. The post-test information, when they will be, is available in newsletters when they're happening. So there'll be a greater clarity around that. And in the context of Seesaw, there are clearer guidelines for teachers this year as to how much they should be posting and what they should be posting. So the progression in terms of the learning should be clearer for parents to actually see how things are moving in each of the subject areas. And through the comments that the teachers are making, there will be greater clarity around what the areas are for development for the students. I'll just pass you to Ms. Exley for more on this.
Thank you. Just in relation to books, there are two kinds of books. There are what we call exercise or copy books, which the students write in. I did say to you that some of the protocols have been lifted. This is one that hasn't. Books are not at the moment allowed to leave the school in the same way that we're very restricted on what students can bring into school. Within the PYP curriculum, we have three forms of assessment. We have teacher assessment, self-assessment and peer assessment. And peer assessment can't happen either at the moment because the students are not allowed to swap the books amongst themselves. So at the moment, the books have to stay in school. They have to stay with either the student individually or the teacher. And when they're not being used, they have to go into the trays, which every child has underneath their desk. Those are the restrictions that we're still under. As far as textbooks are concerned, as a rule in the curriculum, we don't use textbooks. Any textbook, obviously I used to teach languages, any textbook you use, the second it's printed, it's out of date. The most up-to-date information for any subject is in fact on the internet, and that's what our teachers have to keep up to date with as well. That said, we do use textbooks for French, and we use online textbooks for Arabic and Islamic. So textbooks, I know I was specifically asked about science and mathematics. The information comes under the units of inquiry through the teacher and also through the student. A parent, sorry, can I just go back to the question about year 6? I know Mr. Ellis said that we are starting the transition process this term. We are indeed. The transition process involves our students going to the high school, but it also involves the teachers and the students from the high school coming to talk to our year 6 as well. So they very much get a feel about what life will be. Obviously, Year 6 is an extremely important year for these students, so we don't want to bombard them too early with this information. So if you like, we are going to drip feed them with this information and with the experience as well. One parent asked to give us, I'm just reading my questions on the right if I'm looking down. One parent asked what sort of after-school activities we offer so that they could be compared to the outside agencies who offer. The after-school activities don't have a pattern. It's entirely up to the individual teachers. We ask them to offer something not necessarily linked to the curriculum, it can be, but something about maybe which they have a passion and which will enhance a child's education. So it can be to reinforce something they're doing, or it can be something completely different. It could be a musical instrument. It could be, obviously coming mainly from the PE staff, but also from some of our other teachers, a different sport that they might like to look at. It could be board games. I know that within Richmond, which we had, I taught bridge, which is a card game. It's a card game which uses memory, which uses cooperation and collaboration between people. And so what we're looking at is ways in which we can introduce new ideas or to enhance a child's education. Specifics, I can't at this moment give you because I don't know what the teachers are going to offer. As soon as we have that list, it will come out to you. Somebody asked to reiterate what's happening about the buses. The buses at 4 o'clock are for students who have signed up, who have enrolled in the after school activities, and it's for students in year 3 and above. That's the buses at 4 o'clock, and the student has to have already enrolled as a bus student. So it is the method of transport they're already using. Lunches. Yes, we do have a canteen, and the canteen will be opening, but it will be opening for takeaway rather than sit in for food. We're going to start with the older students, so we will be looking at years 5 and 6. And we're also looking at a voucher system so that no money will be involved. No student will have to bring money into school. They will have a voucher. They will be able to go and buy their lunch either at break or at lunchtime and then take it back to the class where they will then eat with their peers. Seesaw groups. Mr. Hadji, again, is setting those up. As you can imagine, we're only at the end of the first week. There have been a lot of changes in school as far as students and classes are concerned, not necessarily changing students in amongst the classes, but you will know that just literally just before we started on Monday with the new students, I had to move some of the teachers around the school because we actually opened up new classes. I think, okay, Mr. Alexander's just popped a message to me. He's obviously just spoken with Mr. Hadji. The Seesaw invitation link for new parents will be going today in the newsletters. Those go every single week from the class teachers. It is a year group newsletter and then with specifics for that class. So if I take, for example, year 3, the year 3 team will prepare a newsletter, and then Miss Tanvir for 3J will personalize it for 3J. 3U, similarly, Miss Sorka will sorry, she's in year 4. I'm sorry, 3U will personalize it for 3U. The teacher-led after-school activities, which we spoke about, start at 3 o'clock and they last for an hour until 4 o'clock. I'm now going to hand back to Mr. Ellis again, whilst I just read a few more questions which have come through, and then I will answer those as well.
Okay, I've been trying, Miss Exley, to busily answer them as they come through to try. I realise there's a couple of parents there who've got their hands up. We will come to you. Just to answer a couple of questions that I saw in terms of the lunches as well, just to add, I'm actually going to send out a survey today to all year 5 and 6 parents, first of all, to introduce the lunch menu, the type of lunch menu that we'll be having, and survey and see how many people would like it, so we can be in contact with those people, and in the coming next week or so start to deliver the cards that they will require, and the full menu will be sent out as well. So that will be done. As Miss Exley said, we'll deal with year 5 and 6 first, and we'll see what the uptake is that, and we may then add in year 4 and work further down the school, but it will be a collect and go. The basic idea around it is to have a vegetarian and a non-vegetarian option hot meal, and then the same vegetarian and non-vegetarian option cold meal with a drink and a piece of fruit, and it's just one package. You pay one amount, and that's what your child is given. As I said, we will look at year 4 once we get year 5 and 6. Depending on the uptake and depending on how the systems work, we will then look at year 4 and have discussions with year 4 parents, and then if we've still got space and time, then looking at year 3 later on. There is a quick question there about coding. Just hold on, we're just developing that system. So in terms of exactly what app they're going to be using, that's not necessarily decided yet. I'm sure Mr. Hadji has his ideas of how he's going to bring it in, but that'll be coming as information later on. Okay, I think Miss Arisha and Miss Kashif still have their hands up. I will come back to you, but if I just move ahead a little bit into the last sort of parts, because we've got 10 minutes or so left in this session. We are going to be developing a parent support group, a parent association. We are looking at how that's going to structure, or how we're going to structure that. I'm actually meeting with somebody next week who was running the parent association a few years ago, prior to 2017, 2018. And we're going to start discussing how we can rebuild the parent association, parent support group. Parent groups are fantastic. They give a lot to the school, and I would fully recommend being a part of that group and giving what you can, because this is the way that schools are improved. We improve as being a full partnership and a full community. So that will be coming up in the next few weeks as we put together a structure and how that's going to work. So that's really, really important. I just come back to, I just wanted to make that mention before we go back to the questions. I'll just come to Arisha. You still have your hand up. Is your question still there?
Yeah, hi, Miss Ellis. Good morning.
Morning.
Recently, we joined this school, and my kid is in year 1. He traveled from Mirdif to Jumeirah. Every day he came from school and he requests me to ask tablet that, Mommy, everybody's playing game in the tablet. I want tablet and game. In the bus, I got bored because I have not introduced any device for like game or anything to him yet. So I'm a bit concerned, like every day he come to me and request the same thing again and again.
What I'll do is I will pass, obviously, what's your child's name?
His name is Ryan.
Ryan, okay. So Mr. Alexander, Miss Exley, Ryan, and they'll try and follow up with that individually. This forum is much more for general questions rather than talking about individual students. But Mr. Alexander, Miss Exley will follow up that. Miss Exley?
Yes, there are a couple of questions about Arabic, which I'd like to answer. Arabic for this week has been taught within a group. This is because the Arabic A team and Arabic B team need to look at the ability of the students. And I know one parent has come up with the question, will you be grouping the students? And yes, we will. But obviously they have to assess them first. That doesn't mean to say that once the students are grouped, they can't move within those groups. So Arabic A students will be grouped, and then Arabic B students will also be grouped, so that we are pitching the level of the lesson at the students. Within those groups, there will also be different levels, and the teachers once again will be looking at how differentiation and personalization can take place within those lessons. Lunches has come up as a question. We're starting off with, as I said, years 5 and 6. If we expand to 4, 3, 2, we will let you know. The voucher system is new. We need to make sure it works before we can then put it to the younger students as well. So we will keep you up to date with that.
Thank you, Miss Exley. There's Miss Kashif who's had her hand up as well. If you still have your question.
Hi, good morning. Yes, the question is regarding the ECAs or after school clubs. Now, in our previous experiences, it had always been straight after the school. And so now the list we have seen so far, either paid or unpaid ECAs, and there are very few unpaid. All of them are like starting late, and there is like a good an hour difference when the school ends and when ECA starts. So it becomes a pain, to be honest.
There's actually no unpaid after-school activities that have been sent out as yet. What we've sent out is just the paid activities. These are the clubs. So these are the clubs which you have to obviously pay for, which we can't start until 4 o'clock because students will be in clubs that will be run by staff. We are looking though, and what I'm waiting for really is to see what the after school activity program is like. That's the ones that are offered by the teachers, and see if there are any gaps in there that we can fill with other private providers who can then work 3 till 4 and bridge that gap as well. But we need to keep the 3 till 4 available for our own staff run activities, which will start in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So you'll be hearing lots more about that over the coming time.
Oh, that's brilliant.
All we've sent at the moment is our paid activities, which are of excellent quality, and you can join at any time.
Nice one. And those one will be unpaid, I suppose, right? The ones between 3 to 4.
The teacher ones are unpaid, yes.
Okay, nice one. Thank you.
There are some of the programs. I know that Hindi, German, and Russian lessons will run from 3 till 4. And if we bring any other language programs in, as I said, I'm looking at trying to bring Chinese in, and that will run at 3 till 4. They're paid though, and dealt with directly with a tutor. Okay. Thank you for all your questions. Will there be Dutch also has just popped up. If you can offer Dutch, then we will offer Dutch. That's, you know, one of our things with the Mother Tongue program is we have to find people to actually, you know, who actually have that language and are able to teach the students that are in there. But we will be enlarging it, and we will offer the opportunity, whilst it's called a Mother Tongue program, as said, we will offer the opportunity for children to pick up an additional language that you may wish them to learn. But that will be coming through. You know, obviously, as I said, our initial focus is always on settling the children in, getting them back into work. We're going to finish there. It's 9:50, so we're just going to sort of finish up in the session. Actually, last question here I'll take from there. Are there plans for vocal singing lessons? Yes, I'd like to think so. If they're not run by staff, we will be running them. We will get some private people in. I may even look at private individual lessons being able to be run on site as well. Okay, we're going to finish there. Here's a challenge for you. As we said at the beginning, our major theme is challenge. So I want to set a challenge for you as parents. Miss Exley talked a lot about reading. You know, you would have seen in all of her newsletters, reading is a real focus. One of the ways that we can, you know, as adults, help with reading is modeling it, demonstrating to our children, either reading with them, showing interest in the books they're reading, but also actually showing them that you take time out of your day to actually read. You know, I used to do that with my children, sit there in their rooms and actually read with them. And it's a really important thing. Children will follow us as adults. If we model it, they will follow. So my challenge to you before we meet again is let's model reading, model the things we want from our children. Thank you, Miss Exley, for being here. Thank you, Mr. Alexander. And thank you for the session. It is recorded and we will post the session up so you can access it another time or pass it on to somebody else. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.